All right, awesome.
So welcome back for another Zoom chat at AMA, Ask Me Anything. This is our third week of doing this, and we're really excited about our guest speaker today. Our guest speaker is a councilman, 4th District. His name is David Ryu. David Ryu. It's a big honor to have you as our guest today. We're really excited. As you can see, a lot of our kids are signed on, and we're ready to ask you a bunch of questions. So hopefully you're going to be okay with that.
Yeah, thank you, Officer Lear. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for doing this during this time of coronavirus pandemic.
No problem, no problem. So normally the moderators are myself and Officer Lee. But we're going to do something a little bit different this time. We're going to turn it over to one of our kids and let him start off with the questions.
All right, great.
You okay with that?
Can I ask real quick? I was told the kids are 7 to 17, or what's the age group?
Yes, sir. Between the ages of 7 and 17.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so you might have to temper your language a little bit, you know, not just for the kids, but for Officer Lee too. So make sure the words aren't too sophisticated.
Well, before you turn it over, can I just say again, really thank you to yourself, Officer Lear, and also to Officer Lee for doing this. This is your third week that I hear. That's great, especially with all of our young adults being at home. I mean, there's not much you could do. I heard the schooling, you could probably get it done in a couple of hours. And then, of course, what's left is TV, Netflix, or video games.
For the rest of the day.
Yeah, for the rest of the day. And this is very stimulating, and this is an opportunity for everyone to hang out with friends, but also to learn about something new or to hear from someone that you might never have done. I would have loved to have done this in person. And how about this? When we're all over with the pandemic, invite me again because I love to meet with you guys in person, okay? So, but thank you.
We're going to hold you to that, okay?
We're going to hold you to that.
All right.
Go ahead, Derek.
Hello, Councilman Ryu. I'm Derek Calderon. It's nice to meet you. First off, I'd like to get some background info on you so everyone knows who you are. Can you tell us where you were born and how your life was growing up?
Oh, wow. So I was first told to do a introduction. So if I take about 10 minutes, is that all right?
Whatever you like, sir.
Okay. And actually, I like doing this because it kind of explains how I think, how I make decisions, why I even ran for office. And it's all interrelated into my life story. And basically, my story is really not much different than many of you on this phone call, including not just the young adults, not you guys, all the kids here, but also for the officers as well. And, my story actually begins with my grandmother, who was the most inspirational, the most closest person to me in my life. And, and she was a super strong woman. And it goes back, I'm from South Korea and I'm an immigrant. And, she was literally, this was after the Korean War, when Korea was very poor. She had 2 younger brothers, and her father passed away at an early age. So even at an early age, she literally became the breadwinner. She worked. She got married, but when she got married, my grandfather also passed away early. She had 3 daughters. And again, like I said, she put all of her 3 daughters through school, and as well as her 2 younger brothers and all of their families. And she was a super strong woman. And my mom was the eldest. My mom became a nurse. Her second became a business person, and her third became a pharmacist. So she was a super high accomplisher, and that's how my mother grew up. And when my mom, in the 70s, she was a working woman, and she was very progressive. And but she grew up in South Korea, and male patriarchy. You guys hear about that all the time, right? Male patriarchy is pretty dominant worldwide, but in South Korea, it takes it to another level. So when my mom married my dad, my dad and his family basically wanted my mom to quit her job, stay at home, cook and clean, and have babies. And my mom tried it for a little bit. Obviously, I was born. But, as a modern woman, as someone who went through college, even though when Korea was poor, she went through college, became a nurse, she was working, she couldn't do it. So literally before I turned 1, she immigrated to the United States all by herself. So she came to this country, and then she convinced my father to follow her because obviously she missed me and wanted to see me. Oh, and the interesting thing is, like most immigrants, she didn't necessarily come. Most immigrants come for a better life for their children, which was me. But actually, my mom, in her case, she came because she wanted to actually also have a better life for herself. She wanted the ability to choose her own destiny. That's why she came here to the land of dreams, to America. And then, of course, convinced my father to follow when I was 5. I immigrated to this country when I was 6 years old. And my brother and sister were born here. But the thing was, life was not easy. The streets were not paved of gold. My grandmother, my mom's mom, the one I was telling you about that I'm the closest with and the amazing story, she actually had to come here to take care of us because both my parents were working multiple jobs and no, there was no one home to take care of us. And the 6 of us lived in about a 700 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment right near LACC. So in the heart of LA. And like I said, it was difficult. My mom was a nurse, but she only got jobs in convalescent homes. And so she basically had the graveyard shift. So every night she was never home. And when she came home, she was sleeping and then went to school again. My dad was a teacher in South Korea, which is a very well-respected position and a job. But when he came here, he couldn't work as a teacher because he wasn't a math or science teacher. Or a music teacher. He was actually a civics teacher. So that did not transfer over. So he had to do whatever he could to make ends meet. He worked as a part-time security guard. He worked in a key shack, not a locksmith, but when you go to the big parking lots, they still have those little key shacks where they make keys. So he did that. He did whatever he could to make ends meet. And I got to tell you, I remember I was old enough. My brother and sister was not, but life was so difficult where I remember one day my mom dressed up our entire family in our Sunday's best and drove us down somewhere. And I still remember, I think I might have been about 11 or something. My dad would not look at me in the face, and he was a little angry. And he was angry because my mom took our entire family to LA County to apply for food stamps. So we were on food stamps at one point. And, and life was that hard. But my father being a teacher, of course, education was a super high priority. And I know all of you guys are making education a top priority. So I got to go to all the best public schools. I went to Dayton Heights Elementary. I don't know if anyone went there. Virgil, you guys know Virgil, right? Virgil was my home school. I actually got to go to John Burroughs Junior High in Hancock Park. I took the school. I didn't even get to go take the school bus. I had to take, back then it was called RTD, which was the Metro. I used to take the Metro bus from where I lived all the way to John Burroughs. And then my parents brainwashed me as a young child. I thought the only thing I could be in life was a doctor. I'm sure you guys get that, right? Doctor or lawyer, right? And so at high school, John Marshall was my home high school, but because I was brainwashed, I went to Francisco Bravo Medical and Health Professions Magnet. I don't know if anyone went there or if you heard of that. So I went to Francisco Bravo. And then I was able to go to UCLA. I was very fortunate. I got a couple of scholarships to go to UCLA. I went on a pre-med major, again, trying to be a doctor. But I did get a few scholarships, but if it wasn't for
Councilman,
yeah.
I hate to cut you off, but let's go back to you coming over here, starting off school, not speaking the language. Maybe you did speak the language. Talk about that a little bit, about how the adaptation process was, getting used to different customs, probably getting picked on or bullied a little bit in school. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I remember I actually came in on the first grade. It's really weird because in Korea, in Asia, we start a little later. So in Asia, I was in kindergarten and I was 6, but when you're 6 in the United States, you're in first grade. So when I got here, I went to the first grade. I went to the middle. It wasn't even the beginning of the school year, and it was tough. But I was so lucky because my first grade teacher was so accommodating, and she realized, obviously I was smart enough, but I just didn't have the language capability. So instead of flunking me, she talked to the second grade teacher and moved me along. And my second grade teacher taught our class for 2 years, second and third grade. And I think she did it. I feel like she did it just for me. I'm sure she did it for other reasons too, but she didn't flunk me and she kept me on. Right. And remember, man, kids are mean, and especially growing up in a tough neighborhood. I mean, it was funny. We were all probably on food stamps. We were all had lunch ticket programs, but especially in the poorer neighborhoods, we're even more harsh on each other. So even though we're all in the same boat, everyone made fun of each other, and the fact that I couldn't speak the language, they made fun of me as well. Majority of my classmates were all Latino. There was a scattering of Asians and African Americans here and there, but majority of all my friends, my best friend who lived across the street from me was Mexican American, and it was tough. I got in a couple of fights, or actually I got beat up. I don't want to sound tough. And and it was difficult, and I was really shy. But luckily, a lot of my friends, my neighbors, the kids from my neighborhood, as well as my teachers, really helped me to be more talkative. And after a while, once you get to know each other and you get across differences, you start talking and playing with my friends. I was very social. So just trying to play with my friends, even you couldn't speak the language, you just start pointing at stuff and you do it. And lo and behold, in a couple of years, I became I was English proficient.
So to get acquainted to those different social groups, what did you do? What was your bonding? What did you guys play? What were the games that you guys came up with?
Well, and I remember back when we were little, it was phases, right? Skateboarding. I mean, no, it was bikes. We rode bicycles everywhere. I mean, I think we rode bicycles to Santa Monica Beach. It was crazy.
Wow.
And then, of course, a lot of, it was less congested back then, so there were less cars. I mean, we used to run around in the streets, go everywhere. I'm very thankful to the few after-school programs that existed, because after school there was really nowhere to go or nothing to do. But they used to open up the playgrounds and have games, and it's things like that. But I mean, shoot, I remember, when I was younger, a couple of my friends even played like Dungeons and Dragons. So this was before the internet. This is before all these games. When Nintendo came out, that was like the big thing. Those little, I don't even think you guys know what that is. There was a little handheld game, but those were the big things. But yeah, I mean,
Derek
we were still
knows.
playing a lot of board games and yeah.
I think Joseph raised his hand when you said Dungeon and Dragon. Joseph, you played that before?
Oh, wow. You guys still play? Do you play the electronic version, or do you actually play on with reading the books and on sheets?
I play it every Sunday
with
my friends, and we play it on the actual sheets.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's creativity. Yeah.
And now we we Zoom each other so we can communicate to each other while we're doing it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome. Councilman, I thought you were going to be the only nerd, but there's 2 nerds in this group.
Hey, but I was cool too. I skateboarded too. Skateboarding was a big thing.
DC, right?
Me too, Councilman. Me too.
All right.
Like
hey, you know what? Do you guys know
nice.
Vans? Vans. That's the
Nice.
original Vans.
No, but he's trying to show you how scuffed up they are.
Oh,
me,
yeah.
Derek.
Do you guys still put the shoe goo on it?
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Hold up, I'll get some right now.
I actually came out on I don't know if you guys know what the Bones Brigade is.
Oh, I do know what that is.
Yeah, so Bones Brigade, that's Powell Peralta. I don't know if their company's still there, but if you know Tony Hawk.
Yes.
You guys all heard of Tony Hawk, right? Tony Hawk was the original Bones Brigade, and they had all these videos of these professional skaters, and I actually came out in one of those videos.
Wow.
I think it was
really? Wow.
I think it was Bones Brigade, I don't know, 5 or 6. And basically, I'm just in the audience. They just pan on my face. So you can look for it.
You made it sound like you did some stunts or something.
I know. I wish. No, but a lot of my friends were in the Boone's Brigade. Yeah.
You kind of glossed over it. Can you explain to us laymen what this shoe goop or gloop? What is that?
Shoe goo. Yeah. So I remember, growing up, and I'm sure I don't know if this happens to you guys still, but because you're always growing, my parents had to buy bigger shoes, right? and then the thing is, when you skateboard, like as you saw Derek, when you do like skateboard tricks, it scratches up right there. You see right there in the front side.
Yeah. On the toe,
Yeah, you get a hole there, right? The rest of the shoe is fine, but you get a hole there, and then you start scraping your socks into your skin, and you can't wear the shoe anymore. So this thing called shoe goo it's just like a big goo. It's like a rubber glue.
It's like liquid rubber, and then when it dries, it turns into rubber.
Yeah. So you put it right there where the hole is, so it fills that hole, and you can still wear the shoe. Right there.
That's awesome. We got a councilman talking about shoe goo. That's awesome.
I want to say, I love your last name because it reminds me of Street Fighter.
Is that game still around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it keeps going.
I'm sorry, it keeps going.
It keeps going.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, it was literally before all these online games. So we actually had to go to an arcade. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's actually coming back. It's coming back, right? They call it.
Explain that ancient place to them, please.
Yeah.
I went to my first one ever in Niagara Falls.
Yeah. Oh, so like, have you guys been to Dave & Buster's?
Yes.
You guys did. Yeah. So it's Dave & Buster's more for older folks now, but it's like a big place with a whole bunch of video games. And then I remember Street Fighter was the game, right? And of course I had the cool name Ryu, right?
Yes.
And literally, I mean, they were you got mad respect for being good on that game, Street Fighter. Yeah. And then everyone used to circle around the Street Fighter, and everyone used to put little quarters on the game. Challenge the top guy. So if you're really good at Street Fighter, you could play for hours and hours on one quarter. It used to cost a quarter, believe it or not, $1 to play a video game. Mm-hmm. Now it's like 5 quarters or like $5. But yeah, it used to be 1 quarter.
Good times. Those are good times. So let's advance a little bit. You said that you, after school, I think you said you went to John Burroughs. After John Burroughs, you went to high school. I don't know which high school you went to in the area.
Francisco Bravo Medical Magnet. Yeah, it was. Got it. It was in East LA.
You also remember, you have to speak slower because he's our senior guy. Okay, you forgot that you went to the great school Bravo. Okay, so be there with him. He's not as sharp as these kids sometimes. Okay.
Can we mute him?
And in my high school, it's very unique because it was the first high school to be named after a Latino, Dr. Francisco Bravo, and it was like the first high school to actually have a woman Mexican American principal, and also it was the first high school to be like sponsored by IBM, and it was really cool. It was, but the bad part was, it was a 5-story building, one building. So we had lots of cool programs where you got to go work at the hospital, you got to go work in laboratories and do all this great stuff. But we didn't have a football team, because we were one building, right? We had a basketball team and we had a cross country team. And actually we joke around because we had one of the best cross country teams. We had no track and field. But we had a park next door called Hazard Park. This is where LA County USC is. And we used to run around Hazard Park. And we used to say that we were so good because when you ran around Hazard Park, there was a local gang called Hazard Gang. And they used to chase you. So you had to run real fast. So we were, we had a really good cross-country team. But we didn't really have the traditional sports and all of that, which was
wow. Wow. Interesting note, you talked about the sports that you did have at the school. Derek is actually on our basketball team.
Oh, good for you.
Did you play at all?
No, and actually basketball didn't even come into like my senior year. So, we had so few students, and then as the student population got up, then it came, yeah.
Okay.
See, sir, at my school, it's so small we don't have any sports teams. We have to play for another school.
Where do you go to school?
Daniel Pearl.
Oh, okay.
It's a journalist school.
Oh, wow.
We do sports for Birmingham.
Oh, wow.
I believe it's in North Hollywood, right, Derek?
No, it's in Balboa.
Ah.
Okay. His school is in Lake Balboa, aka when we were growing up, that was Van Nuys. Then they changed it like they do all other neighborhoods.
Yeah, every neighborhood has a name now. When I grew up, my neighborhood didn't have a name because it was literally south of Hollywood, north of Koreatown, west of Silver Lake, but now they call it Virgil Square. It's like every neighborhood has to be named. Yeah.
So Councilman, you're in high school. You're this nerdy kid getting beat up for playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you.
Hey, no, in high school, no, that was junior high. In high school, I started skateboarding. So.
So you became the cool kid. Okay, I apologize. So now you're this cool kid in high school. You're wanting to go to college. What persuaded you to go to UCLA, and what was your thinking behind going to a prestigious school like that?
You know, I thought about it long and hard, and I don't know why. From an early age, I just wanted to go to UCLA. Well, part of it was because my high school was so small, I wanted to go to the biggest college possible. I just wanted to go to I just wanted to go to a school that had lots and lots of students. So I did not want to go to those small schools. I wanted to go to the biggest school possible. But at the same time, I didn't want to be in some sort of farmland or somewhere way out in the hinterlands. I wanted to actually be in the city. So UCLA, for that matter, was a good pick. But more importantly, I think it was planted at an early age because my best friend, like I said, who lived across the street from me, his older sister, which I think she was like at least 10 years older, I don't know, at least 6 years older than us or something like that, was not only after she graduated high school, she got accepted to UCLA. And she was the first in her family, multi-generational family, to go to school for the first time. And I remember we had a huge celebration for like literally, I think went on for a month, where every member of her family from all around the nation came and visited her. So it was a big deal. We didn't know what UCLA was, but we knew it was a good school because she made it. And so I think early on, I was just kind of fixated on going to UCLA. So it makes a difference when you see people in your neighborhood or people that look like you to do different things. Then it shows you that you could do it.
That's really great. You know, we try to talk to our kids all the time about having a plan, you know, whatever it may be, whether it's going to school, getting a job, or whatever you want to do in life after that. You got to have some type of plan. You got to be focused on something for you to say that that's what you wanted to do, even at a young age. Hopefully that's inspiring to our kids.
Yeah, and Officer Lear, I just want to say, look, I wear a button. I mean, I don't have a tie today, but I wear a button shirt. I'm a council member. I wear suits now. So when you see me, you might be like, wow, how did he do that? Or it's something I can't achieve. As I told you in my background, right? I mean, I was literally just like you guys. My family was just like you guys. My parents, both of them, were never home. My grandmother took care of us. Like I said, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, 700 square foot. We were on food stamps at one time. I was on the lunch ticket program. I mean, I did the SAT prep courses after high school that the school offered. I mean, I did all of these programs. I wish there was a program like this when I was growing up. The most closest thing to this was a program called DARE. I don't know if you guys even know what that is, but police officers used to come by once in a while and give out baseball cards and, stuff like that and talk to us. But yeah, I mean, if I could make it, there is no reason why you can't. So, and by the way, Derek, you said you're going to a school that specializes in journalism.
Yes.
I want to say 2 things. One, you don't have to worry about what you want to do in the future, right? I mean, I went to a school, medical school, Francisco Bravo Medical and Health Professions Management in high school, but obviously I'm not a doctor today. Right? So don't feel stressed out like, oh my God, I don't know what I want to do, because it's okay. When you go to college, once you go to college, that's where your life starts to change and you start seeing the world in a different light. So you do not have to worry about knowing what it is that you want. But also it's okay if you know what you want, but also have an open mind that, I'm so glad I went to Francisco Bravo because it showed me that I do not want to be a doctor. right? After doing it for a while. And it's better to know what you don't like earlier on so you can move on to your next thing and figure out what it is that you like. And the most important thing, and one of the major things that I learned when I was in high school and I was talking to all these doctors, I kid you not, 70% of the doctors I spoke to all hated their jobs. And they said, don't be a doctor, don't be a doctor. And I'm like, what do you mean don't be a doctor? And they said, do what you love. So the best thing you can do is find something that you're really passionate about. And you're young enough, so don't worry about it. Whether it's drawing, whether it's playing games, you know, it's funny now because playing games is like you could become an athlete, right?
Yeah.
And make more money than athletes. But whatever your passion is, follow that passion. Don't let people tell you can't do it, all right? Because all those people who, if you talk to people who succeeded, everyone will tell you someone told them you can't do it, but they could.
That's so great. I hope that resonates with our kids, you know, to follow your passion, no matter what it is. And like you said, coming from where you came from, almost flunking out of school, not having the most money and achieving what you achieved is really, really inspirational. Hopefully that's going to resonate with our kids. Go ahead, Derek, you were going to say something?
Oh, yeah. So when I was looking into high schools and which one I was going to go to, there was multiple options. I was going to go to Cleveland for their swim team. I was going to go to, I think it was Cesar Chavez because it's near my house. And then my last option was this one. But when my mom told me that it was a journalist school, she was like, you like journalism, right? And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but sure. So then I went here having an open mind about journalism. Found out I do not like it. Because you have to go into so much research into one specific person to have like these questions, and you need to like write super fast because you're talking to them and while also taking notes on what they're saying. And to me, I just can't multitask that fast. But ever since I was little, I've had my mindset on like what I want to do. I want to work with something that involves my hands because I am very like, how can I say it? I like being hands-on. I like doing things with my hands. I don't want to sit behind a desk and like type all day. I don't want to write all the day. I want to do something that involves my hands. That's what I love to do. And if I get dirty while doing it.
You could be a puppeteer. How about that?
Yes. Yes.
Not just a puppeteer, but create the Muppets. I don't know if you guys know what the Muppets are, but
I love the Muppets.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
Joseph knows what that is too. Good for you, Joseph. Pretty.
Hey, Joseph's just born in the wrong generation. Joseph's like us.
He's like you guys, not all of us, like you guys. So I just want to say a quick shout out to Alberto. Alberto's on the Zoom chat. Happy birthday, Alberto. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Where's Alberto?
Here.
How old are you, Alberto?
11.
11?
All right.
Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations. So Councilman, going back to your chronological story, you're in college now. You're getting to that point where you have to decide what you want to do with your life. Was it your freshman year, sophomore year? I don't know which one it was, but you start thinking, maybe I want to become a politician. Maybe I want to get into, take it from there. You're in college and you're deciding what's going to happen next.
Yeah, so when I was in college, actually, I wish it was my first year. And I went in and I took math and science courses, again, thinking I was going to go to medical school for literally 2.5 years. And thank God there's this thing, when you guys go to college, there's a thing called general education requirements. Actually, for those in high school, you probably know that too, right? You got to take they call it GE classes, general education. And you're like, these are stupid classes. Why do I have to take it? And it could be, and sometimes it could be fun classes like wood shop, right? Or I don't know if you guys still have wood shop, or it could be broadcasting. Or it forces you to do something that you might not want to do. And I thought it was a waste of time, but thank God for those general education courses, because that opened up my world. And after my almost third year in college, that's when I finally decided to have enough courage to go tell my parents I didn't want to be a doctor. And because when I went to college, I got to volunteer. I mean, I volunteered in a lot of social services organizations, right? I actually wanted to give back to the community and help those who are less fortunate. So I actually got to go work at, I was tutoring at a youth authority, like a camp for, young adults who are incarcerated. So I did that. I did all sorts of community service stuff. And then, so on my end of my third year, I went to my parents and I told them, I built up the courage to tell them I don't want to be a doctor. And then my parents freaked out and they're like, oh my God, okay, what do you want to be? And I built up the courage and I told them I wanted to become a social worker. And so I don't know how you guys feel about that, but my parents did not like that, because obviously when you think of social work, everyone thinks it's a great honorable profession, but it doesn't pay well. And my parents were like, oh my God, we didn't do all this work for you to become a social worker. But the secret was, after I told them I wanted to be a social worker, they're your parents. Even though you think they're not going to be supportive, they are supportive. And they were very happy in anything that I did. So
I thought you were going to say they beat you, they punished you. I thought you were going to go there with that.
Well, at this point, I was too old.
Sir, we got to pause him on his tormented childhood. Continue on with
So at this point, I was too old, and they were like, oh my God. But the secret was, after I told them I'm going to be a social worker, anything else I did afterwards, they were happy. So and I never wanted to go into politics, because I always thought politicians were bad people, that they didn't really do anything. Because anytime you see the news or you see in the newspaper, you always see something bad, right? Someone did something bad, And it's partially because in the news media, sex and violence sells, right? And they only want to report on the bad stuff. They don't report on the good stuff. They always want to report on high school dropout rates, high school crime rates, all of the bad stuff, but they don't report on this positive stuff, like the program that you guys have here. Why can't they talk about this? But they don't, because, it doesn't grab the headlines. So I had an impression that elected officials were all bad people. And I thought government was bad. And when I was younger, when I was in college, I used to participate in a lot of protests, and I was an activist. I fought for immigration rights. I fought for, low-income communities. And I thought government was a thing that you protested. So that's how I got involved, and I started working in nonprofits. I worked in nonprofits locally as well as in the East Coast, and that's predominantly what I did for about almost 16 years.
Wow, super cool, super cool. Just a couple of quick side notes. Joseph, I read that you're going to have a birthday. You want to tell us about your birthday?
Yes, I am turning 11 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Wow.
All right.
11's the magic number, huh?
Yep.
Well, happy birthday in advance.
Right.
Councilman, I also want to thank a couple of people from your office, Miss Rachel Fox and Miss Madeline Taras.
Yes, she's on, actually.
Madeline, hey. Those are two of your field deputies that are awesome, have been great for our program. Whenever we ask them for anything, they help us out. They took a group of our kids down to City Hall, gave them a tour last year. And whenever we have anything that we need, whether it's tutoring or reaching out to you guys, they're always there available for us. So I just wanted to say hi to them and kudos for having them work with you.
Well, it's so fun. We're always happy to help. Anything you guys need, just let us know. And you guys are awesome. And I love hearing your stories, and a big happy birthday to everyone.
Awesome. One more shout out to Miss Cynthia Ayala. Miss Cynthia Ayala is the one that is our communications and director here at Hollywood POW, and she puts all of this together. And without her, we wouldn't be able to do all of this. So thank you, Cynthia. Derek, I think you had a question.
Okay. You said that what we have here doesn't catch the headlines, but in your mind it does. So for you as a councilman of Los Angeles, what is your what do you think about the Hollywood POW program?
Oh, well, I mean, this is great. And I tell my staff, anytime there's an opportunity to talk to young folks, I take that advantage. And I want to do it because I think this is so important. We talk about all the various problems that we see in the world. Well, and I'm sure you guys heard it too. Everything begins with education, right? Everything begins at an early age, but yet we don't invest in education as much as we should. We don't invest in early childhood programs as much as we should, like this program, right? Because, you know, all of you guys with the proper guidance, with the proper resources and the proper programs out there to show you the way, could all become council members, could all become movie directors, could all become, you know, game designers or game creators, or, you know, a restaurant owner, I mean, hotel owner. I mean, you guys could all literally be great and maximize your potential on what you could do to contribute in life. You know, and, or if you guys go down the wrong path, go down the wrong fork in the road, you could become a statistic, right? I mean, look, I know I made it, but I got to tell you, I have a lot of friends in my neighborhood. I don't know where they are. You know, I don't know. I remember even at a young age, I had a lot of friends drop out of school because of drugs or because of gangs. I mean, I was very, very lucky. I almost feel if I was 1 year older, I would have hung out with the wrong crowd, because literally there was a couple of Asian kids who lived 1 block away from where I lived, but they were all a few years older than me. And all of them hung out together, and they literally started smoking together. They started hanging out together. They all joined gangs together. And you know what? I was in the same neighborhood. I'm no different than them. If I happened to be a year older, maybe that would have been my crowd, and maybe I would be not here. Maybe I would have been in a life, I don't know, maybe I would have had a criminal record or went to jail or something like that and not become a council member. So this is why I want to be here and talk to you guys, to let you know, I know life is hard. Life isn't easy. Sometimes life isn't fair. But I want you to know you got great people like Officer Lear and Officer Lee. I didn't have someone like that when I was growing up. Here to as a resource for you guys. And there are other programs, many other programs. And I'm here to say, you know, if once you guys go to college and if you want an internship, come to my office. I mean, you could hold me to that. You could say, council member, several years ago, you told me I could come and intern for you. Mention it. I'll give it to you, right? So I want you to know that, you know, I'm no special. I'm not smarter. I'm not, you know, lucky or anything else. I am literally who you are, and you could make it.
Yeah.
All right, sir. We have a couple other kids that are going to ask a couple of questions that haven't spoke yet. So Miguel, it's on you guys. Go ahead and ask away. Or did their camera freeze? Oh, there we go.
My question is, what were your thoughts when the coronavirus pandemic started?
What were my thoughts? You're kind of freezing up a little for me.
He said, what were your thoughts when the coronavirus pandemic started?
You know, in the beginning, I thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was just another flu or something. You know, there was like almost no communication early on. Then all of a sudden it went from something that wasn't serious to extremely serious, like literally in a span of like 3 days. And within a week, with not even less than a week, in 5 days, we closed down the entire city. So it was a very busy time. And once we realized the severity of what was going on, we moved quickly. And I think that's one of the reasons why in LA, you guys might think, oh, look, it's not that bad. Well, one of the reasons it's not that bad is I think it's because our mayor and the city council, and of course our governor as well, acted very quickly, unlike other places. So we were able to stop the spread as fast as we did to have less of an impact. But it was very chaotic in the beginning, and it was a little bit it was a scary time, you know. But it was more important that we made sure that Angelinos, that your parents felt secure and confident in your government, so that we can get through this time. And I think we made a tremendous strides in that.
Go ahead, Alejandro.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Alejandro.
You got to unmute yourself.
Alfredo, I'm sorry. It's Alfredo. I'm sorry, Alfredo.
While we're waiting, Tristan had a question. If you want to unmute Tristan, you could ask yours right now.
Tristan, unmute. I can't hear you.
Okay, so what she asked was, did you ever wish that you became a social worker? She looks so shy, so if you could answer that for her.
Yes, and actually, you know, it's not that I wanted to be a social worker. What I wanted to do was I wanted to help people. And I thought, you know, social worker is the easiest way to help people. But later on, I realized helping people, you could help people in no matter what career you're in. Like, for example, officer, you know, the two officers here, Officer Lear and Officer Lee, are literally, they're not being police officers today. They're being social workers, you know, and this is what it means to help, because it doesn't matter what your position is, you got to help. And that's another lesson for you guys. When you do make it and when you become rich and powerful and all successful, don't forget to give back, and don't forget your roots, right? I mean, just like how I'm here doing this talk with you guys, don't forget to go back to your communities and where you are from to let them know your story, because that's the only way other folks are going to see you and say, oh my God, that's, you know, Alvin looks just like me. You know, Cynthia has my same story. You know, Jose is, oh my God, that's what happened to me. And then you start feeling like, yeah, I could do it too. So, but yeah. And I feel like in my job, I am, in a lot of senses, working as a social worker. I get to work on homeless issues. I get to work on poverty issues. I get to work on educational issues. So while I'm not directly a social worker, I get to work with a lot of social workers and a lot of amazing individuals like Officer Lear and Officer Lee to provide services to everyone.
Good question, Tristan. Very good question. Go ahead, Alberto. You're up.
How do you say, I was asking the question of the governor, that the governor said, how do you say, he said that he was going to open the Los Angeles back. You think that's okay?
So what he said was, and again, this is where I really encourage you guys to don't just look at the headlines, but read the entire article, right? When you're done, you guys could Google what the governor said and see it. Don't take shortcuts. Don't just read the top line or just read the first paragraph, because the top line is where they try to grab you. And actually, Derek knows this, working in journalism. It says, governor opens up California. And if you just read that, you're like, oh my God, he's opening up California. But if you read through it, he's doing phase one. He's starting with just a little piece of it. And what he's opening up is just retail. Right now, you know, restaurants are open, right? For pickup and delivery, right? So he's going to expand that for certain retail businesses. I don't even know every single one of it, but what you could do is they could open up. You can't come into the store, but it's same thing. You could come by and pick it up, right? So that's what he's opening up. And I think in California and in Los Angeles, our Mayor Eric Garcetti and Governor Gavin Newsom are very cautious, and they're working closely with public health officials and doctors and scientists to make sure that we do it in a proper way based on facts and science. So I think they're slowly opening it up to see how it goes.
Great. Tristan, can you hear us now, Tristan?
Yes.
Great. Did you get the answer to your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Alvin or Joseph, either one of you? Go ahead, Joseph.
Do you like your job being a politician?
Well,
Good
yes,
question.
I love my job, but you know what? I like to refer to myself as a public servant. You know, you see, Officer Lear and Officer Lee, I don't see them as police officers only. I see them as public servants. Because, you know, sometimes when you say politician, you could have a negative connotation. When you say police officer, you only see them as law and order, you know, and there could be a negative connotation. But you see Officer Lee and Officer Lear doing what they're doing today, right? And they're being public servants. And that's the way I see myself, because I have the ability to help. When I was earlier on, I thought politicians were all bad people, but it turns out politicians and elected officials have the ability to divert resources to projects like this project. So I feel very fortunate in the fact that I could help people, that I could help people like myself, help people like my family and my mom when we were growing up. all the help that we got. It's about paying it forward and making sure other folks get help as well. So yes, the fact that I'm a public servant, the thing I enjoy most is actually doing what I'm doing today and helping people.
Sir, can you, because you just touched on something I always harp on, you know, in life, we always complain rather than look for solutions. And you just gave the example of how you used to be on the other end. And I'm a firm believer that change is made from within. So can you tell the kids, based upon your experience, being that you've been a protester, now you're a public servant, you know, what the benefits are to that, because you've seen both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. So, and, you know, I want to, you know, reiterate that point. And, you know, earlier I said, you guys could be anything that you want to be. And, you know, and here, you know, I'm an example of that. But at the same time, it wasn't easy. It takes a lot of hard work, you know, and, you know, Derek, you might not like the journalism part, but no matter what you do pick, or any of you guys, whatever profession you pick, it's going to be difficult. Nothing's going to be handed to you. It's going to work. It's going to be hard work. You know, it's always easier said than done. And, you know, when I was a protester and I always said, bad, you know, it's easy to protest. It's hard and it's easy to break things down, but it's very hard to build things back up. Right now that I'm in a position where I can get things done, it's about doing it, but it's about working in collaboration. I'm not a dictator. This is a democracy. We all have to work together. There's 15 council members. I can't do anything by myself. I need to get 7 of my other colleagues to join me to get anything done. And that's where interpersonal relationships happen. And that's where how we work together. It's easy to point the finger and say, oh, you didn't do this or you're bad or that. But it's hard to actually fix it then. And, you know, like I said, there's 2 types of people working as a council member. You know, I always get calls all the time from constituents, and there's 2 types of people. There's the type of person that would see trash on the floor and they'll say, oh my God, why is there trash on the floor? Where's sanitation? How come they're not picking up this trash? Why is it so dirty? Why is my neighborhood so dirty? They would take a picture of the trash. They would email it to my office and say, why aren't you doing anything about this trash? And then there's the second type of person who sees the trash on the floor. They'll pick it up and throw it in the trash can, right? So in life, what are you going to be? Are you going to be the one that looks at the trash, point to it, and talk about why it's not being picked up? Or are you just going to roll up your sleeves, pick it up, and throw it away, and then work on it, right? So it's easy to cast blame and point the finger and say what's wrong with X, Y, and Z. And you're right. There are so many things we need to fix. And that's where you need to roll up your sleeves, work with the party, work with people you disagree with. Go up to them and say, hey, I have a disagreement with you. I don't like what you did. And while you talk to them, maybe you'll understand why they did it. And then you guys work together to figure out what the best way forward is.
Great answer. Great answer.
I think, is that Alfredo or?
Alberto.
Alberto. Alberto. We made Alberto into Alfredo.
They get messed up with my name too. Mm-hmm. Oh, I had a question about that you said that you how do you say, march for immigration?
Mm-hmm.
The news Trump said he's gonna stop immigration. I didn't understand about when he said he was gonna stop immigration. I didn't know what it meant.
You know, Alfredo, in that one, I agree with you because I don't know what half the things Trump says. And I think it's, you know, the good lesson we can learn from, I mean, I don't want to make too much fun of the president, but a good lesson we can learn from our president is what not to do, right? I think it's very important that before you say something, you actually think about it, right? Especially in a position of power like the president of the United States. Everything you say, and I don't know if you've seen certain TV shows, if you say, oh, I don't like broccoli, then literally the broccoli industry could suffer, right? So it's very important what you say. And when Trump said he's going to stop immigration, I mean, he says stuff 1 minute and then the next minute says another thing to contradict what he just said. I think he was literally trying to appeal to his base voters who are obviously anti-immigrant. To get them to applause for him, right? So, you know, I'm not really sure. I think he wants to stop. He's using the coronavirus, and we got to be very careful in times of crisis like now, like the coronavirus pandemic, because he's using the coronavirus pandemic as a way to do other things that he wants to do. So is he really stopping immigration to prevent the spread, or is he stopping immigration because he just wants to do something that he wants to do, right? So in that one, I think we both need to read more about it, but I bet you he said something else to contradicting himself. So, you know, he's a, I think, bad person to think about.
You just became a cool guy in my eyes, sir. Super cool. So we're coming up on an hour. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but a lot of our kids are into physical fitness. They're into doing things that challenge their bodies and try to get themselves ready for whatever season is coming up. We do a lot of activities virtually now, and some of the activities are jumping jacks, push-ups. Our kids are super competitive, and they want to challenge whoever the guest speaker is. Are you okay with that?
Oh no, what are you gonna make me do?
I think today we'll do a jumping jack contest. Are you okay with that?
Sure. You gonna make me do jumping jacks, really?
20 seconds, sir. We got to get 2 kids, though. Give me 2 kids that want to challenge the councilman in a jumping jack contest. 2 kids.
Is that Mercy?
Mercy?
By way of Vincent. Vincent, you're going to do it, right?
Vincent?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Vincent? Okay.
I need one more. Who's the second one?
Eric?
Alberto. I think Alberto.
Alberto?
Alberto.
Too much of a challenge. I
All
want
right.
to make it fair.
I
How does the challenge work?
I like the trash talk, Derek. I like it. So Vincent and Alberto. All right, you guys get ready. Put your camera in position. Councilman too, put your camera in position. We're going to go 20 seconds. Whoever does the most jumping jacks in 20 seconds will win a lovely prize that we have here for you guys. You guys, everybody ready? Let me see. Vincent looks like he's ready. Alberto looks like he's ready.
Who's keeping count?
Officer Lee, who are you going to count for?
I'll count for the council member.
Okay, Jake, who are you going to count for? Alberto? Okay, we need somebody to count for Vincent. Derek?
Vincent.
You count Vincent? All right. Let me get my stopwatch ready. 20 seconds again, guys. 20 seconds. And at the end of 20 seconds, whoever's done the most will win the prize. On your marks, get set, go. Let's go, Alberto. Let's go, baby. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop.
They got shorter legs. They got less to go.
Derek, how many did he do?
37.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Are you sure?
That little man's fast.
And Officer Lee?
He did 26.
Oh, Councilman. I hate to say it, Councilman, but you came in 3rd place. out of 3 people.
Hey, but to make you feel better, Vincent only weighs like 50 pounds. So, you know, go figure, right?
Vincent, next time we see you, this medal is for you, brother.
I mean,
yes.
Because sometimes he'll get up by himself.
Yay.
So, but before we take off, Councilman, any words of encouragement, words of wisdom, anything you could leave with our kids?
Well, yeah. Well, two quick reminders and some parting words. One thing is, you guys aren't old enough to vote or anything else, but for many of you, especially if your parents have English problems in communicating in English, it's more important on yourself. And I remember when I was growing up, for my parents, I did all the bills, I did reading all the mail and all of that. So your parents, I know many of your parents rely on you. So there's 2 important things that are happening. The census. Okay, I don't know if you guys heard about the census, But in many cases, you could do it online if you have online access, or you could do it on a written form, or you could
Can you explain to them? Explain to them what the census is?
Or you could call my office for help. Census happens every 10 years. Every 10 years, we take account of all the people. It doesn't matter if you're a U.S. citizen or not. It doesn't matter what your immigration status is. They don't ask you for your name. All they want to know is how many people live where, right? It does maybe ask about their ethnicity, ethnic background, age, and all of that. But in no way can they use this information to track anyone down. It's literally a way to see how many people live in your neighborhood, how many people live in Los Angeles, how many people live in my district, how many people live in California. Because what that does is it helps in funding. It tells you where money should go, where the people live, so where the money should go. It helps to identify how many police officers are needed here, needed there, you know, how the districts are created and all of that. So this is very important for schools, right? Schools they need, or make the borders for how many kids go to which school. So census is very important. So, and Alfredo, you got a question?
Oh, I had a question. Can we kids do it, the census?
Yes, you can. So in many cases, help your parents out. It's like 9 questions. It's very simple questions. It probably has your age, what age category are you? And the census is for every member of the family, okay? So it tells you how old you are, you know, your income level, I think, and, you know, your ethnic background, and, you know, some people are afraid of immigration status. It doesn't matter, okay? Whether you're a U.S. citizen, have a green card permanent residency, or have no residency, it's okay, because we need the number count. And no one's gonna share this information. You could do it anonymously on the online and everything else. It's very, very important. And in many cases, your parents might, if they don't do it, you have to remind your parents to do it, okay? If you need help.
Great question, Alberto. Great question.
And or ask Officer Lear or Officer Lee to help you get you connected on how to get it done. And secondarily, like this is more applicable to Derek, who is a lot older. But when you turn 18, what are you guys all gonna do?
Vote.
Register to vote.
Register to vote and vote. And for your parents who are citizens, okay, Alfredo, go ahead. What's your question?
4 years, man.
Oh, you're muted. No question? Okay. So for those who are citizens and who might not be registered to vote, make your parents, ask your parents, have you registered to vote, and vote. Because it's very, very important to make sure you're counted. Every vote counts, right? So I wanted to just talk about those 2 things. But I just really want to thank you guys. You guys are the next generation of leaders. Thank you for even participating in this program. You know, I wish I had a program like this when I was growing up. And, you know, you guys have 2 great role models here, Officer Lear and Officer Lee. But get involved. And I know for many of you guys in your families, you guys are probably the head honchos, right? So help your parents out. I know it's difficult, but you know what? That's how families do, right? Stick together. And this is your extended family here. So if you need any help, feel free to reach out to your extended family. Feel free to reach out to me. But I want you guys to know that you guys are doing amazing. You guys are going to be the next council members and the councilmen and councilwomen, the mayor, movie stars, business leaders. And when you become super successful, don't forget about us. Don't forget about me. Don't forget about Officer Lear and Officer Lee. And don't forget about everybody in your neighborhood and how it was when you were growing up. So you got to give back, okay? So thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilman, we can't thank you enough. That was awesome. Super, super, super cool. Really, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. It meant a lot for us as a program and for our kids and our families. I think fellow countryman Jake wants to say something to you in your native language real quick.
Sure.
Hello.
한국말로 하세요.
예, 안녕하십니까. 예. 저 할리우드 팔 사랑해 주시고 앞으로도 많은 관심을 가져주셨으면 좋겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네. 몇 살이세요?
저는 27살입니다. 여기서 인턴으로
오케이.
일하고 있습니다.
네. So, you know, anyone who want to understand what we said, I think many schools now teach Korean too. So learn Korean so you can talk to me in Korean. Or you know what? I'm going to come back and see you guys in a couple of months in person. But I'm only going to come back if you guys learn one word in Korean each, all right?
Got it.
You can have Jake help you with that. And then I'll see you guys in person in a couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Okay, bye.
Bye,
Thank
sir.
you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
You guys be good.
Yeah,
Stay
we
out of
will.
trouble.